The vast chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with activity. Beings of all shapes and sizes moved about, their strange forms a testament to the diversity of life in the universe. Some floated on anti-gravity devices, others slithered across the polished floor, and a few existed as pure energy contained in special suits. At the center of this alien menagerie stood Ambassador Zaxlor, a tall, blue-skinned creature with 4 arms and eyes that glowed like distant stars. He cleared his throat, a sound like grinding rocks, and the chamber fell silent. Esteemed members of the council, Zaxlor began, his voice echoing through the room. We gather today to discuss a matter of great importance, the human problem. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Humans were a relatively new species on the galactic stage, having only recently discovered faster-than-light travel. Many in the chamber had never even seen a human in person. Zaxlor continued, "Our observations of Earth have led us to a clear conclusion. Humans are primitive, weak, and utterly unprepared for the realities of galactic warfare." He waved one of his 4 hands, and a holographic image of Earth appeared in the center of the chamber. The blue and green planet spun slowly, surrounded by crude satellites and space stations. "Look at their pitiful attempts at space exploration," Zaxlor scoffed. "Their weapons are primitive, their ships are fragile, and their strategies are laughable." From the crowd, a small gelatinous being raised a tentacle. "But Ambassador," it burbled, "haven't the humans shown remarkable progress in a short time? Should we not be cautious?" Zaxlor's eyes flashed with annoyance. Cautious? Of what? A species that still fights among itself over trivial matters like land and resources. He laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "No, my friends, the humans are not a threat. They are an opportunity." The hologram changed, showing images of Earth's cities, forests, and oceans. "Their planet is rich in resources that could fuel our expansion for centuries. And the humans themselves. They would make excellent servants, once properly subjugated." A buzz of excitement filled the chamber. Many species had long eyed Earth's resources, but had been hesitant to act. Now, with the backing of the Galactic Council, they saw a chance for easy conquest. But not everyone was convinced. In a dark corner of the chamber, hidden from view, sat Kralthar, an ancient being known for his wisdom. He watched the proceedings with growing concern. Kralthar had studied humans in secret for years. He had seen their art, their music, their capacity for love and sacrifice. But more importantly, he had seen their wars. Humans fought with a ferocity and creativity that both terrified and fascinated him. As the council voted overwhelmingly to invade Earth, Kralthar slipped out of the chamber. He needed to warn someone, anyone, about the terrible mistake the council was about to make. Meanwhile, on Earth, life continued as normal. In a small apartment in New York City, Sarah Chen, a brilliant military strategist, sat hunched over her computer. She was working on a new defense system, one that she hoped would revolutionize warfare. Little did Sarah know that her skills would soon be put to the ultimate test. As she worked late into the night, the stars above twinkled innocently. But among those stars, a vast alien armada was preparing to launch. The invasion of Earth was about to begin. And despite what the Galactic Council believed, the humans were far from helpless. They were about to show the galaxy just how good at war they could be. As dawn broke over the city, Sarah stretched and looked out her window. The sky was clear, the sun rising in a blaze of orange and pink. It was going to be a beautiful day. She had no idea that it might be one of the last peaceful days Earth would see for a long time. The storm was coming, and when it hit, the galaxy would learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity. Sarah Chen was jolted awake by the sound of her phone ringing. She blinked, disoriented, and fumbled for the device. The clock on her bedside table read 3:17 am. "Hello," she mumbled, still half asleep. "Dr. Chen, this is General Thompson. We need you at the Pentagon immediately. It's an emergency." Sarah sat up, suddenly wide awake. "What's happened, General?" There was a pause on the other end of the line. "We're under attack, Dr. Chen. Or we will be soon." "Weak intercepted." "Well, you need to see this for yourself." An hour later, Sarah found herself in a crowded situation room deep within the Pentagon. The room was buzzing with activity. Military personnel and scientists huddled around screens and talking in urgent whispers. General Thompson, a tall man with graying hair and a stern face, waved Sarah over to a large monitor. "Dr. Chen, what you're about to see is highly classified. We intercepted this transmission 3 hours ago." He pressed a button, and the screen came to life. Sarah's eyes widened as she watched. The message was clearly alien in origin, filled with strange symbols and diagrams. But the intent was clear. Earth was about to be invaded. "How long do we have?" Sarah asked, her mind already racing with possibilities. "Our best estimate is 2 weeks, the general replied grimly. "Maybe less." Sarah took a deep breath. "Then we need to act fast. We need to unite the world's militaries, pool our resources, and we need to think outside the box. These aliens, they're expecting an easy fight. We need to prove them wrong." Over the next few days, Sarah worked tirelessly. She coordinated with military leaders from around the world, devising strategies and contingency plans. The news of the impending invasion had been made public, and the world was in a state of barely controlled panic. But amid the chaos, something remarkable was happening. Old enemies were setting aside their differences, joining forces against a common threat. Scientists and engineers were working around the clock, adapting Earth's technology to combat the alien menace. A week into the preparations, Sarah found herself standing before the United Nations Security Council. The room was tense, filled with world leaders who looked both determined and terrified. "Ladies and gentlemen," Sarah began, her voice steady despite her nerves, "we face the greatest threat in human history. But we also have an opportunity. The aliens think we're weak, divided. They expect an easy victory. We're going to prove them wrong." She outlined her plan, a daring strategy that combined Earth's military might with guerrilla tactics and psychological warfare. There were gasps and murmurs as she spoke, but also nods of approval. As the meeting ended, the President of the United States approached Sarah. "Dr. Chen, that was impressive. But do you really think we can win this?" Sarah met his gaze steadily. "Sir, I think we have to. And I think we will. Humans have a long history of beating the odds when our backs are against the wall. This time will be no different." As Sarah left the UN building, she looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, an alien armada was approaching. But Earth wasn't going down without a fight. In labs and factories around the world, new weapons were being developed and manufactured at an unprecedented rate. Soldiers were training day and night, preparing for a war unlike any they had ever fought before. And in orbit, a fleet of hastily upgraded satellites kept watch, ready to sound the alarm at the first sign of the alien invasion force. The next week passed in a blur of activity. Sarah barely slept, moving from one crisis to another, always pushing, always planning. She knew they weren't ready, knew they needed more time. But time was the one thing they didn't have. Then, on a quiet Tuesday morning, all the alarms went off at once. Sarah rushed to the command center, her heart pounding. On the main screen, a swarm of alien ships was visible, emerging from behind the moon. The invasion had begun, but Earth was ready. As Sarah watched the alien ships approach, she felt a mix of fear and determination. The aliens thought humans were bad at war. It was time to prove them wrong. The alien fleet filled the sky, their ships blocking out the sun like a swarm of metal locusts. On Earth, people looked up in fear and awe. This was the moment humanity had both dreaded and prepared for. In the command center, Sarah Chen stood before a wall of screens, her face illuminated by their blue glow. She watched as the alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere, her mind racing with calculations and strategies. "All units, stand by," she said into her headset. Remember your training. We can do this." The first alien ship landed in a field outside of Chicago. It was massive, easily the size of a football stadium, with strange symbols etched into its silver surface. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then, with a hiss of escaping air, a door opened in the side of the ship. Alien creatures emerged, tall and spindly, with 4 arms and glowing eyes. They looked around, their movements jerky and uncertain. Sarah watched the feed from a nearby drone. "They're not used to our gravity," she murmured. "That's something we can use." Suddenly, the aliens raised their weapons, strange, organic-looking guns that pulsed with an eerie light. They fired at a group of nearby trees, reducing them to ash in seconds. "All units, engage," Sarah shouted. "Remember, hit and run. Don't give them a chance to adapt." The battle was joined. Human soldiers, hidden in trenches and behind holographic screens, opened fire. The aliens, caught off guard, stumbled back. Several fell, their strange blue blood staining the grass. But the aliens recovered quickly. They returned fire, their weapons tearing through the human defenses like they were made of paper. For a moment, it seemed like the humans would be overwhelmed. Then, from the sky, came a sound like thunder. Human jets, retrofitted with reverse-engineered alien tech, swooped down. They fired missiles that exploded in bursts of electromagnetic energy, shorting out the aliens' weapons. The aliens retreated to their ship, clearly surprised by the ferocity of the human response. As the ship took off, a cheer went up from the human forces, but Sarah knew this was just the beginning. All around the world, similar scenes were playing out. In some places, the humans were winning. In others, they were being pushed back. In New York, the Statue of Liberty stood defiant as alien ships circled it. In Tokyo, skyscrapers crumbled under alien fire. In the Amazon, indigenous tribes armed with poison darts took down alien scouts. Back in the command center, Sarah received reports from around the globe. The news was mixed, but one thing was clear. Humans were putting up much more of a fight than the aliens had expected. "Ma'am," a young lieutenant said, approaching Sarah with a tablet, "we've intercepted some alien communications. Our linguists have managed to translate parts of it." Sarah took the tablet, her eyes scanning the text. As she read, a smile spread across her face. "They're confused," she said, looking up at her team. "They don't understand why we're not surrendering. They thought this would be easy." A cheer went up in the command center, but Sarah quickly raised her hand for silence. "This is good news, but we can't get cocky. They're still technologically superior. We need to keep them off balance, keep surprising them." As if on cue, an alarm sounded. Sarah turned back to the main screen to see a massive alien ship, larger than any they'd seen before, entering Earth's atmosphere. "That must be their command ship," Sarah said, her mind already formulating a plan. "If we can take that out, we might just have a chance." She turned to her team, her eyes blazing with determination. "Get me our best pilots. We're going to give these aliens a welcome they'll never forget." As the team rushed to follow her orders, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The aliens had claimed humans were bad at war, but they were learning, to their cost, just how wrong they were. The first day of the invasion was drawing to a close. Earth had bloodied the aliens' nose, but the real fight was just beginning, and Sarah Chen was ready for it. A week had passed since the alien invasion began. Earth was battered but not broken. In cities around the world, the streets were filled with rubble, but also with the sound of humans fighting back. Sarah Chen hadn't slept in days. She stood in the command center, her eyes red-rimmed but alert, studying the holographic map of Earth. Red dots showed alien strongholds, while blue represented human resistance. "We're holding our own," General Thompson said, standing beside her. "But we can't keep this up forever." Sarah nodded. "We need a game changer, something they won't expect." Just then, a young scientist burst into the room. his lab coat flapping behind him. "Dr. Chen, we've done it." Sarah turned, hope flaring in her chest. The reverse engineering. It worked. The scientist nodded, grinning. "We've cracked their shield technology. And that's not all. We think we can adapt it to our own weapon systems." For the first time in days, Sarah smiled. This could be the break they needed. Over the next 48 hours, Sarah worked tirelessly with the science team. They integrated the alien shield technology into a squadron of fighter jets. It was risky, untested, but they were out of options. As dawn broke on the 8th day of the invasion, Sarah stood on an airfield, watching as pilots climbed into their upgraded jets. The planes looked strange now, a mix of human and alien tech. "Remember," Sarah said to the lead pilot, "your shields will hold against their weapons, but we don't know for how long. Hit them hard and fast." The pilot nodded, her face grim but determined. "We won't let you down, Dr. Chen." As the jets took off, Sarah returned to the command center. On the main screen, she could see the alien mothership hovering over what used to be London. It was time to take the fight to them. The battle that followed would later be known as the turning point. The human jets, protected by alien shields, tore through the enemy's defenses. Alien ships fell from the sky, unable to penetrate the stolen shield technology. In the command center, cheers erupted as they watched the tide of battle turn. But Sarah remained focused. She knew the aliens wouldn't go down without a fight. Sure enough, the alien mothership began to power up its main weapon. A massive cannon emerged from its underside, glowing with otherworldly energy. "All units, fall back," Sarah ordered, but she knew they wouldn't be fast enough. Just as the alien weapon was about to fire, something unexpected happened. A small, agile ship appeared out of nowhere, flying directly into the path of the cannon. "What is that?" General Thompson asked, squinting at the screen. Sarah's eyes widened in recognition. It was Kralthar's ship, the alien who had tried to warn them about the invasion. Kralthar's ship fired a single shot into the alien cannon just as it discharged. There was a blinding flash of light, and then silence. When the light faded, the alien mothership was drifting, powerless. Its weapon had backfired, crippling the entire ship. In the stunned silence that followed, Sarah made a decision. "All units, converge on the mothership. It's time to end this." The next few hours were a blur of activity. Human forces, emboldened by their new advantage, pushed back against the aliens all over the world. The alien ground troops, cut off from their command, fell into disarray. By nightfall, it was over. The alien invasion force had been defeated. Humanity had won. In the command center, exhausted but elated, Sarah finally allowed herself to relax. She looked around at her team, seeing the same mix of disbelief and joy on their faces. "We did it," she said softly. "We actually did it." As the news spread around the world, people emerged from their shelters, cheering and hugging each other. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious. But Sarah knew their work wasn't over. They had alien technology to study, a planet to rebuild, and a galaxy to face. The aliens had underestimated humanity once. She would make sure they never made that mistake again. As she looked out over the celebrating crowd, Sarah couldn't help but smile. Humans might be new to interstellar war, but they had proven one thing beyond doubt. They were very, very good at it. 3 months had passed since humanity's victory over the alien invasion. The world was slowly rebuilding, but Sarah Chen knew the fight wasn't over. In a secret facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, she stood before a group of world leaders and military commanders. "We've learned much from the alien technology," Sarah began, her voice echoing in the large underground chamber. "And now, it's time for us to take the fight to them." A murmur ran through the crowd. Sarah pressed a button, and a hologram appeared, showing a fleet of ships unlike anything Earth had ever produced before. "Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Earth Defense Force." The ships were sleek and powerful, a perfect blend of human ingenuity and alien technology. Fighter jets that could travel through space, battleships armed with weapons that could punch through alien shields, and stealth vessels that could slip undetected through enemy lines. "But how will we find the aliens?" someone asked. "We don't even know where they came from." Sarah smiled. "That's where our secret weapon comes in." She nodded to a figure standing in the shadows. Kralthar, the alien defector, stepped forward. "I know the location of their homeworld," Kralthar said, his voice a strange mix of clicks and whispers. "And I will guide you there." The next few weeks were a flurry of activity. All over the world, the best pilots and soldiers were recruited and trained. The new ships were loaded with supplies and weapons. Earth was preparing for its first interstellar war. On the day of the launch, Sarah stood on the bridge of the flagship, named Humanity's Hope. She looked out at the stars, feeling a mix of excitement and fear. They were about to go where no human had gone before. "All ships report ready," Dr. Chen, her second-in-command, reported. Sarah took a deep breath. "Then let's make history. Initiate jump sequence." In a flash of light, the Earth Defense Force disappeared from Earth's orbit. When they reappeared, they were in a completely different star system. And there before them was the alien homeworld. But the aliens were ready for them. A massive fleet of ships rose from the planet's surface, their weapons already charging. "They've been expecting us," Sarah realized. But she wasn't about to back down. "All ships, battle formations. Remember your training. We're fighting for Earth." The space battle that followed was unlike anything in human history. Earth ships darted between massive alien cruisers, their new weapons tearing through alien shields. The aliens, caught off guard by humanity's newfound capabilities, struggled to respond. Sarah coordinated the attack from the bridge of Humanity's Hope, her mind racing as she adapted their strategy on the fly. She had studied the aliens' tactics, and now she was using that knowledge against them. "Squadron 3, flank their left side," she ordered. "Battle Group 2, focus fire on their flagship." Slowly but surely, the tide of battle turned in humanity's favor. Alien ships exploded in silent bursts of fire, while Earth's ships pressed their advantage. But the aliens had one last trick up their sleeve. Their largest ship, easily twice the size of humanity's Hope, began to power up a weapon of unimaginable destructive capability. "All ships, fall back," Sarah yelled, but she knew they wouldn't be fast enough to escape the blast radius. In that moment, Sarah made a decision. "Kralthar," she said, turning to the alien, "I need you to tell me how to overload their main reactor." Kralthar's eyes widened in understanding. It was a suicide mission, but it might be their only chance. Sarah took manual control of Humanity's Hope, piloting it straight towards the alien superweapon. Laser fire streaked past the ship as she dodged and weaved. "It's been an honor serving with you all," Sarah said to her crew. Then, following Kralthar's instructions, she fired a precisely calculated shot into the alien ship's reactor core. The resulting explosion was visible from the surface of the alien homeworld. When the light faded, both the alien superweapon and Humanity's Hope were gone. But Sarah's sacrifice had won the day. The remaining alien ships, seeing their greatest weapon destroyed, began to retreat. The Earth Defense Force had achieved the impossible. They had defeated the aliens on their own turf. As news of the victory reached Earth, celebrations broke out around the globe. Humanity had not only defended itself, but had also proven itself a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy. And somewhere in the vastness of space, Sarah Chen's legacy lived on, a testament to human courage and determination. The victory in space had been hard-won, but the war was far from over. As the surviving ships of the Earth Defense Force limped back home, they received a chilling message. The aliens had launched a massive counterattack on Earth. General Thompson stood in the control room of the last remaining military base in North America, his face grim as he watched the incoming alien fleet on the radar. "They're throwing everything they have at us," he muttered. Beside him stood Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez, Sarah Chen's protege. Her eyes were red from crying, but her voice was steady as she said, "Then we'll give them everything we've got." All around the world, humanity prepared for its final stand. In the streets of every city, civilians worked alongside soldiers, setting up barricades and makeshift weapon stations. This was no longer a war fought by armies alone. It was a fight for survival, and everyone had a part to play. As the alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere, they were met with a hail of fire. Weapons reverse-engineered from alien technology blazed from rooftops and windows. In the sky, the remnants of Earth's Air Force engaged in desperate dogfights with alien fighters. In London, Big Ben chimed defiantly as alien troops marched down Oxford Street. In Tokyo, samurai descendants wielded energy swords against alien shock troops. In the Amazon rainforest, indigenous warriors used poison darts tipped with a compound deadly to alien biology. Back in the control room, Maria coordinated the global defense. "Paris, watch your left flank." She shouted into her comm. "Sydney, reinforcements are on their way." But despite humanity's fierce resistance, the aliens were pushing them back. City after city fell, the alien war machines unstoppable in their advance. Just when all seemed lost, a young scientist burst into the control room. "We've done it," he exclaimed, waving a datapad. "We've cracked the alien hive mind frequency." Maria's eyes widened. This could be the game changer they needed. If they could disrupt the aliens' ability to communicate and coordinate, they might have a chance. "Get me all remaining broadcast stations," she ordered, "and patch me through to every speaker and device you can." As the alien forces converged on the last human strongholds, a strange signal began to broadcast. It started as a low hum, barely noticeable amidst the chaos of battle. But soon it grew louder, drowning out all other sounds. The effect on the aliens was immediate and dramatic. Their formations broke apart as individual aliens clutched their heads in pain. Ships veered off course, crashing into each other or plummeting to the ground. "It's working," General Thompson shouted, watching in amazement as the alien advance faltered. But the aliens weren't defeated yet. Their supreme commander, a towering figure with 6 arms and eyes that glowed with malevolent intelligence, landed in the heart of New York City. It let out a psychic scream that shattered windows for miles around, temporarily disrupting the human broadcast. "We need to take out their leader," Maria realized. She turned to a group of hardened soldiers. "I need volunteers for a suicide mission." Every hand in the room went up. Maria led the small team through the ruins of New York, dodging alien patrols and collapsing buildings. They found the alien commander in Times Square, coordinating its forces telepathically. "For Sarah," Maria whispered, activating the prototype weapon they had brought. It was a device that amplified the disruptive signal to an intense degree, but at a cost. It would fry the brain of anyone who used it. As her team provided covering fire, Maria charged towards the alien leader. The creature turned, its eyes widening in surprise as this small human ran fearlessly towards it. With her last conscious thought, Maria activated the device. A wave of psychic energy exploded outward, catching both Maria and the alien commander in its blast. The effect rippled out across the planet. All over the world, the alien forces suddenly stopped, their hive mind connections severed. Without leadership or coordination, they fell into confusion and disarray. In the hours that followed, humans emerged from their hiding places to find the aliens retreating. The invincible armada that had nearly conquered Earth was now a scattered, defeated rabble. As dawn broke the next day, General Thompson stood atop the ruins of the Empire State Building. He looked out over the battered but unconquered Earth and allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious. They had proven to the galaxy that they were not just survivors, but warriors to be reckoned with. The war was over, and now the real work of rebuilding and preparing for humanity's new role in the galaxy could begin. 5 years had passed since the end of the alien invasion. Earth, once a hidden jewel in the cosmos, now stood as a beacon of strength in the galaxy. The scars of war were still visible, but amidst the rebuilding, a new era of human innovation and exploration had begun. In the newly constructed United Earth Spaceport in Kenya, a crowd had gathered for a historic event. Today, the first official human diplomatic mission to the galactic community would depart. At the center of attention stood Admiral Jack Thompson, once a general, now the leader of Earth's combined space forces. Beside him was Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the brilliant scientist who had continued Sarah Chen's work in reverse engineering alien technology. Today, Jack announced to the cheering crowd, "We take our place among the stars." The ship that would carry them, named Phoenix, was a marvel of human engineering and alien tech. As Jack and Yuki boarded, they couldn't help but feel the weight of responsibility on their shoulders. They carried the hopes and dreams of all humanity. The journey to the galactic capital took weeks, even with their advanced propulsion. When they finally arrived, the sight took their breath away. Thousands of ships from hundreds of species orbited a massive space station that glittered like a jewel. As Phoenix docked, Jack and Yuki were met by a delegation of alien diplomats. Among them was a familiar face, Kralthar, the alien who had helped Earth in its darkest hour. "Welcome, humans," Kralthar said, his voice filled with warmth. "The galaxy has been eagerly awaiting your arrival." The next few days were a whirlwind of meetings and negotiations. Jack and Yuki presented Earth's case for joining the galactic community as a full member. They spoke of humanity's resilience, their quick learning, and their desire for peaceful cooperation. But not all species were convinced. The aliens who had invaded Earth, now humbled and seeking redemption, argued against human membership. "They are too warlike," their representative hissed. "Too dangerous." Jack stepped forward, his eyes blazing. "We did not ask for war," he said, his voice carrying across the chamber. "But when it came to our shores, we proved that we could not only survive, but thrive. We have learned from this experience. We do not seek conflict, but we will always stand ready to defend ourselves and our allies." His words sparked a fierce debate among the gathered species. Some were impressed by human tenacity, others wary of their potential. As the arguments raged, Yuki had an idea. She asked for permission to address the assembly and stepped up to the podium. With a deep breath, she activated a holographic display. "Esteemed delegates," she began, "let me show you what humanity can offer." The display came to life, showing the advancements Earth had made in the past 5 years. Pollution-eating bacteria that could clean entire oceans, renewable energy sources that could power whole planets, medical techniques that could cure diseases thought incurable. "We have taken the lessons of war," Yuki said, "and turned them towards peace. We offer these innovations freely to the galactic community as a gesture of our commitment to a brighter future for all." Her presentation changed the tone of the debate. Species that had been hesitant now spoke in favor of human membership. Even the former invaders grudgingly admitted that humans had potential. After hours of discussion, a vote was called. Jack and Yuki held their breath as the results were tallied. Finally, the head of the Galactic Council stepped forward. By majority decision, the alien announced, "Earth is granted full membership in the Galactic Federation." The chamber erupted in cheers and congratulations. As Jack and Yuki shook hands, or tentacles, with their new allies, they couldn't help but think of all those who had sacrificed to make this moment possible. Sarah Chen, Maria Rodriguez, and countless others who had given their lives for Earth's future. As they prepared to return home with the good news, Jack turned to Yuki. "You know," he said with a smile, "they claimed humans were bad at war, but I think we've proven we're even better at peace." Yuki nodded, her eyes shining with pride and hope. "The galaxy won't know what hit it," she said, "but this time, in a good way." As Phoenix undocked and set course for Earth, Jack and Yuki knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged stronger than ever. Now they were ready to take their place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as partners in a grand cosmic adventure. The future, vast and full of possibilities, awaited.